Alright everyone, so this is going to be an in-depth video on how to install your 90 to 93 Honda Accord climate control unit into your Honda CRX. This is using the EKP conversion kit. This kit's really nice because it lets you make everything plug and play. So for the harness, you don't have to worry about soldering, messing up under your dash. You don't have to worry about destroying your dash permanently, because that's something I really am against for these old cars. You want to preserve them as much as you can. But it also comes with other mounting hardware that did the same thing. This is a mounting plate that mounts the mixture directly to the back of the unit. This means that you don't have to bond this to the back of it, and also you don't have to remove it from the car. Removing it from the car is actually really dangerous, because you can see it will break the control cable tabs, and I was just really against that. This is not mine, this is one I found in the junkyard just for demonstration purposes. So yeah, I'm really against removing that. Here's a conversion knob. This conversion knob is used so that you could use the original knob that goes to your mixer, but it kind of covers up the little gap that will be created when using this knob. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but unfortunately if you use the Accord knobs, you're gonna have to cut a flat into the spline, which I don't want to do personally. So I'm using the conversion knob. Lastly, you have two side mounting tabs. This is what's going to allow you to mount your unit into the CRX. So simple as that. Another little benefit to this kit is that it allows you to basically swap out climate control units in case this one breaks. Unfortunately, these do break over time. They are 30 years old. It may last for you, it may not. It depends. You never really know with these electronics, unfortunately, especially since they could corrode and depending on the environment you're in. So this kit allows you to basically make it so that you can just put another one in, no problem, no drama. The only thing you'll need is another, all these plastic mounting pieces, but you could buy this off me, $10, no problem. For the harness, on the other hand, this is the most expensive bit, but you'll never have to replace this. Unfortunately, these 13-pin plugs and these power plugs are extremely expensive now because they are 30 years old. So that's why the price is justified the way it is. Anyway, so I'm going to show you the tools that you need. For the tools, you're going to need your plastic bonder. This is JBL brand. This is the best I've used. It's extremely strong. Some masking tape just to kind of help make things cleaner. You will need a Dremel. I highly recommend a really good quality Dremel. That's because if you have any shaft play in these things, you're going to have a really bad time. I've tried using a Harbor Freight one. It is absolutely nightmare. I returned that instantly and went to a good brand. You're going to need the typical tools that go with your Dremel. You're going to need I should say rotary tool, by the way. Excuse me, it's trademarked. Yeah, so you need a cutoff wheel. I have this end mill tool, and I'll show you why I have this in a split second here. I have a tool that's used for making the holes for the mixer mounting plate. And then I have this like sanding drum. This is basically going to be used to sand off and make your surfaces a lot more flush. And you may need a heat gun. A heat gun's used, so you can take off this piece here, and a screwdriver just to disassemble the whole thing. So going to the unit itself, one thing I want to mention is that these knobs are always getting damaged. They are always sun damaged because these have a white nylon underneath that just get yellow over time. This knob here, even though it looks a tad bit smaller in diameter, still fits very well. It's the same D shape that goes attaching to the fan speed controller, but also they never yellow. The only difference is that they do stick out of the unit very slightly. And yes, you can leave it like that, but if you want it flush, I have a way to make it flush, and I'll show you that lastly in the video. And that's what this end mill tool piece is using for. I believe this tool is used for like engraving wood normally, but yeah, I'll show you that. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so let's do the basic disassembly of the unit. So I recommend always wearing safety glasses because you will be removing stuff and cutting and stuff like that. So just make sure you wear those. And let's get started. So you're gonna have your mixer most likely, and then you're gonna have your pigtails. These could be used to convert your harness if you want to do it yourself, but keep in mind you will be splicing into your original harness. So just first remove these. You could get rid of these, or I could buy them off you if you like. If you're looking to do something with them, I could always make these into conversion units for other people. Then you're gonna have your mixer. It's gonna be 3 screws, and then you want to remove your fan speed controller, which is these 2 screws here. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So I'm just gonna take off one just to show you the process, and I'm gonna pause and then do the rest. And then we'll just undo one there. So I'm going to pause, and then I'll show you that pulled out. Alright, so now all the screws are undone, so you can just pull this thing out. Set that aside, you're not going to be needing that anymore. You could always throw it away. Make sure you throw out your fan speed controller. Oh, I'm sorry, not throw it out, take it out. You're gonna save this for later, of course. And go ahead and put your knobs to the side so that your unit looks like this and like that. So here's a good time as well to do some testing on this unit before you do too much work to it. You can do this testing at the junkyard if you like. And with the original harness, there's a way to test all the switches to make sure they all work. And I can show you that in another video. But make sure all the buttons do work. They don't, spring back. Some buttons do break where they don't stay in and they kind of come back out still. That is unfortunately a broken unit. And also it's a good time to check your light bulbs, and I'll show you how to do it in another video, and then this light bulb too. So make sure you replace all that before you plop it in the car. So next step is really simple. We're gonna remove the light bulb. You're gonna turn this counterclockwise. Get it off the little hanger there, and you can see the cable's gonna be snagged under one of the posts here to mount the mixer. So you're just gonna kind of pull that. Just be very, very careful because there's a little hook on that post. Just go ahead and get those guys out. All right, and just put that to the side. And now, next step, we're going to be using the cutting wheel to remove these tabs. You do not have to remove these tabs, believe it or not. It's mainly the bottom ones that are going to be in the way, but I'm going to do it anyway just for cleanliness. So let's get started. All right, so just remember, these 3 screws are going to be used to actually mount your unit right into your car. These screws are going to be compatible that were used for their previous mixer. They are compatible with the side mounting tabs. So put these aside and save them. You will be using those again. And these ones, of course, will be used for the fan speed controller. So for cutting off the tabs, it's very, very simple. Just try to get as flush as you can. As you see, I'm using a cutting wheel just for this process, and then we'll clean it up with the sanding barrel right after that. So just get yourself in a nice, comfortable position, and make sure you wear your safety glasses. And go ahead and get cutting. This can be a messy process, so I do recommend doing this outside. So I'll just show you the bottom piece, and then I'll do the rest on my own off camera. So let's get started. Alright, so that's one done, and we're going to have 4 to go. And then this leftover plastic here, we'll just sand it down at the end here with our sanding tool. So I'm going to do all 4, and I'll pause the video and I'll show you when I'm done. Alright, so we just finished cutting off all 4 sides. You don't have to be too neat because you will be finishing this up in the next step. So for the next step, we'll be removing these 3 mounting studs that are used for mounting the original mixer and this little hanger here. So I'm going to cut off one of these just like I did in the other clip, and then I'll do the rest on my own, but I just want to show you the process I go through when I do this. So you're going to want to do this step right after, just so that way you don't have to remove the cutting wheel off your Dremel. So let's go ahead and do that. So first I'll cut off the little hanger, and then I'll cut off this one here, just to show how it works, and I'll do the rest off camera. And then for the stud. And then usually you can just snap these off after you cut it. And then you can see there's still some left, so you could use your cutting wheel to just kind of flatten it out a little bit. Let's just do that right now. Cool, so you can see it's a lot flatter now. And then we'll just go over that with the sanding tool after we're done. So I'm gonna do the rest of these here, and then I'll come back to the video here. Thanks. Alrighty, so now we attached our sanding tool to the end of our Dremel here, and you can see we're not quite flush, but we're pretty close. And in this process, we're basically going to file down all these rough edges. We're going to make sure this is flush or under flush. That's very, very important. And then we're also going to grind down these side tabs here. These side tabs will kind of help bring the unit out a little bit more, closer towards you, and kind of just make it more flush against the trim of the CRX. So I'm going to show you a couple of these here, and then I'll pause the clip like last time. So first off, I'll just show you the process of filing down the bottom one, because that is more important. So let's do that. just want to be very slow, take your time, and be very, very careful. So let's do that real quick. You see that's nice and flush. You don't have to get it perfect since you obviously won't see this once it's installed in the car. Now let's do one of the studs that we cut off earlier. So you can see there's a little bit of a lip there, so I'll just do that. And also don't forget that this little hanger that was used for the cable previously is flush. You know, make sure it's nice and flush there. And the next, this is going to be a little more difficult. You're going to have to be really careful here. And I'll do part of it on camera just to kind of show. So we're going to get rid of this here. And the trick is, don't cut it flat like that, because you are going to mark up this surface. You want to cut it at a 45-degree angle. That way you don't have to risk about ruining the buttons or anything like that. So I'm going to do part of it here. I'll pause the video and I'll show you how it's like when finishing it up. So let's get started. You see we're at a 45-degree angle. And we're just cutting through. Alright, I'll pause the video, just do the rest, and then I'll show you what it's like finishing this up, because you want to get as close as possible. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to get rid of this little lip right here. You basically just want to make really quick 45-degree passes, and you'll shave that flush, and just kind of keep your eye on it as if you're looking down the sight of a gun, and just kind of keep shaving that off until it's nice and flush. So I'll kind of show you the process I do for that. There you go. You can see how that's nice and flat now. The process is to basically not apply too much pressure and just use a lot of speed. That way you don't take off too much material at a time. So there we go, that's good. I'm gonna do the rest of it off camera and then I'll show you the next step. Alright guys, so as you can see, we just finished sanding down all the surfaces. All this is flush or underflush. This is all flush or underflush as well. And now we're good to go for the rest of the assembly process. So this process is going to include taking off this faceplate here. Now, yours may come off really easily. Sometimes the previous owner may glue this on, which is really unfortunate. That kind of puts you at a bind. But mostly these things just come off pretty easily. And you'll be able to find a little lip on it where you can start peeling. But in order to help you out, you should use your heat gun. So I'll kind of show you that right now. So I'm going to turn on my heat gun. You don't need a too high of a temperature. A pretty low temperature is good. Mine's about 550 degrees here. And just kind of start loosening up the adhesive there. A hair dryer works too. Just loosen up the glue. You're going to be re-gluing this anyway, because this most likely will come off regardless. So like I said, some come off really easily, but... Oh, and I forgot to shave this down, but I will do it in the next clip. I apologize for that. So anyway, let's start working that now. So you see it's a little bit easier to do now, so I'm going to keep giving it some more heat. Alright, so off camera I just went ahead to shave the rest of the side off, and I kept applying heat as well. And you can see I got a corner that started right here. So I'm going to go ahead and work that, now that it's all heated up. And slowly just peel the front face off of the unit there. There we go. So once you get a corner started, it's actually really easy. I recommend the top left corner. As you see, there's not much area for it to bond. Most of the bonding is on the rim though. Just keep that in mind. So once you just kind of work that up with your finger, it comes off pretty easily. Alright. So now, we're going to work on taking this front cover off. And I'm going to get a small screwdriver and show you how that works. Just give me 1 second. Alright, so this is another tool I should probably include in the beginning. A little watch tool here. This is a small little flathead. And we're going to use it to take this off. They're held in by 3 clips. You can kind of see it there. There's 1 clip right there, 1 clip right there, and 1 clip right here. It's a little hard to show on camera, but if you look closely, you'll be able to see them kind of snapped in there. just kind of take a screwdriver and kind of push it down and out. You hear it kind of click out of the way. You're gonna do the same for this one here. Click, push, and click and push out, and then click and push out, and you see, boom, it's popping out. See, really easy. Just pull that out. Be very careful with that. We'll be modifying this as well. And then you pull this reflection paper out, and there might be some grease on yours. So yeah, you can see a lot of grease on mine. Cool. So now the next step is going to be basically mounting the mixer plate. And so as you can see, this will kind of go there. This notch, as you see here, is going to go where the light bulb is. And don't worry if yours is a little bit white. The reason why it's white is because I use a bonding agent to keep these from peeling up off the print bed when these are manufactured. This will be covered up, of course, as well. And so what you want to do is you're going to want to get your mounting tool and go from the bottom. Kind of just stick it in, and it's a very tight fit because it needs to be a very tight access hole. And you can see that's going to line up. Make sure the kind of studs go like that, as you can see. And then you'll take the screwdriver they use to undo the clips and just kind of mark generally where these studs are going to be. You don't need to be perfect because you're going to cut out a pretty big area here. So I'm just going to kind of pushing in there and twisting to mark up the plastic. And then you can just push this to the bottom. As you can see, I mark, we have one mark here, kind of hard to show on camera, and then one mark right there, kind of right on the edge. So let's show you what to do next, and I'll pause the video and get that started for you. Alright, so go ahead and attach your hole making tool and your little carving tool to the end of your Dremel, and let's take a look here. So as you can see, here are the marks, and we're basically just going to plunge cut right through the mark. And the reason why I want to take this front cover off so that we could clear out material on this wall where my thumb is, and this wall where my index finger is here. Just want to kind of clear out that material, kind of carve it out like that. And yeah, it is a time-consuming process. This is the hardest part, unfortunately, but you want to make that clearance in order to make this a system that you could bolt up to. So I'm going to kind of show you how that works. So let's get the Dremel out. Remember, the speed is your friend. Raise the RPM if you have to. And with our first marking here, I'm just going to plunge cut down. And one thing to keep in mind, be very careful about this bulb mounting feature here. You don't need to go cut into it, just cut to the left of it, okay? You go right up to it, but don't cut too far. Well, now that we made the initial hole, we just go around the other side and just clear it all out. So you can kind of see where we're going to have to cut here. Just move any of this plastic out of the way. You can kind of see we're going to have to cut away all the material from right where my finger is to the right. So let's just kind of clear that out and cut it out like that. Cool, so I'm going to keep working on that slowly, and then I'll pause the video, and then I'll bring it back, kind of show you what it looks like when I'm done. Alright, so you can see all that plastic is now carved away, and I still left this intact, and it'll still be structurally strong enough. Next, we're going to do the other side here. So I'll just plunge cut that like I did with the other one, and then I'll start carving it out. And then basically, as you carve out, you're going to want to just plop this in there and just keep checking, and just make sure this bottom surface is completely flat on here. So let's do that real quick. Alright, so I just made all the holes here. I just made enough room and enough clearance. As you can see, I kind of cut it in like a C shape. And basically you just want to take your adapter plate, just make sure it's nice and flat, stick to the holes you just made. There we go. And then you go ahead and put your alignment tool through the bottom. And you kind of see, make sure it's flat. So you see mine's not a little bit flat, so I have to cut away a little bit more material right on the inside there. But other than that, I'm really close. And you can see I'm pretty flat on this side here, so I'm good there for bonding. And you can see this is still intact. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you the next step. Alright, so I just went through it all. We're nice and flush, no problem. And so the reason why I want to take off this front cover is because you're going to be using your plastic bonder to support these studs here. Since you did cut out the material right here, that's why you want to take off this front face. So first step here after that is just basically bonding. You're basically ready to glue now that everything's installed properly. And go ahead and get your plastic bonder out, as you can see here. And I recommend using some Scotch-Brite with this stuff, that way you could scuff the surface up beforehand. So the first thing I recommend, obviously pull this out, get your Scotch-Brite, go ahead and just scuff up this surface. This ABS plastic has a bit of a gloss to it, so doling it out a little bit will help the adhesive bond, although the adhesive would bond really well without it. It's just a little extra step I like to take, just to be cautious. And you go ahead and do the same thing to the surface here. Scuff that up. Cool. Wipe away any excess. And then we're going to mix our bond. In order for bonding, I'm not going to really show this on camera, but you basically just make sure this whole surface is bonded. And then I'll show you the process where I kind of press it and hold it tight. And then we'll go on to the next step after that. So let me pause the video real quick. Alrighty, so I have all my glue mixed up and applied to the mixer mounting plate, as you can see here. So just go ahead and turn it over. And roughly just line it up and just set it on there. Make sure the notch is where the light bulb is. Then what you're going to do is just take your alignment tool, stick it through the bottom, and push it through. And kind of press down your thumbs, squeezing out any excess glue down there. I use a Q-tip usually to clean it up, or you can use your finger, doesn't matter. Just kind of clean up any excess. Perfect. Alright, so now we're going to let that bond for a bit, let it set for 10 minutes, and make sure after about, I don't know, like 8 minutes or so before the thing fully cures, make sure you pull this out because you'll accidentally bond this in there. You want to make sure it's in there for the time being while this hardens and sets, because you don't want this thing kind of sliding and shifting out of the way. Also this is a really tight tolerance, so you kind of press this in and it'll kind of hold it all in together. And while that's all being held in together, you can now apply glue in here. So I'll show you. I have still some pre-mixed glue left. I kind of just use a disposable chopstick here, and I kind of just take my glob of glue and I kind of like gravity kind of just feed it in there. And you see I kind of just dab it in to fill up any of the holes that we created, and to give the studs a little bit extra support, just in case. Will help with a little bit of the fatigue life over time, I suppose. And I'll do the same for this side up here too. And it's okay if we leave a big glob here. We are going to modify the fascia unit there in order to make clearance to these studs anyway. So it's okay if you leave a bit of extra glue there. Okay. And I'm just going to add a little more to the bottom and let that cure. Like I said, don't let it fully harden, just let it semi-harden. Then pull your knob out and it'll be nice and set. And of course, take your chopstick, or your Q-tip I should say, and kind of clean up any excess that you might have there, or you can use your finger. I don't like glue on my fingers personally. Cool, so I'm gonna let that sit for a bit, and then I'll show you what it's like when it's bond. Alrighty, so now that we have the base plate for the mixer mounted, we're now going to work on the side mounting tabs, and we're going to use these tabs here. So I first start off on the right side of the climate control unit, right here, and here is the right mounting tab here, and you can see the pin is going to stick out towards you, or towards the buttons, and the EKP logo on the bracket will be facing, up and down. And what you want to do is just kind of get an idea on how it's going to fit. And before you start bonding, just a little quick tip, you're going to take some masking tape, and the masking tape is going to help you just make sure it's a nice cleanly process, so you're not accidentally putting glue on the face of the unit. So just kind of line that up right on the edge, and then kind of wrap that around. That way you're just not going to risk getting glue right here. So make sure you take this, kind of line it up, get an idea on how much surface it's going to take, and go ahead and take your Scotch-Brite or your scuffing material, kind of roughen that up a little bit, and then you're going to do the same thing for this as well. So I'm going to do that behind camera here. Cool. And it's going to be really easy. You're just going to apply a thin film of glue here, press it on, and just use your finger or whatever, and then just kind of clean up the excess, and then peel the tape off. Simple as that. So I'm going to do that on both sides, and I'll show you the next step after that. Alrighty, for the last part of this install, we'll be showing you how to mount this up. So you can see here the side mounting tabs are looking really good. Nice and bonded on there. So let me show you the trick to how to install this. So you will have to modify this a little bit with your Dremel. That's just because these little edges are going to collide with the studs of the mounting plate. It's really easy to cut these, as long as you have your cutting wheel. It's really easy. So you're going to want to cut basically kind of where I'm going to draw it right here. So you're going to want to cut it kind of along here, the top, and down. So basically up to this line right here. And then for the other side, you're just going to want to cut off all the way this material right here to right here. Cut all that away. Okay. And then you'll be kind of doing the same thing with this piece. You'll just be cutting it with some scissors. So I'll show you that real quick. So let's first modify this. It's very easy to do. Just go ahead and make a vertical cut. Alright, just make sure you don't hit the little clip there. Just kind of get the excess plastic out of the way. Okay, now let's do this side. And remove the excess plastic. Just careful, it's a little warm. Okay, cool. So that's modified now. That will clear studs. And then for the piece of paper here, that's the reflective paper. As you can see, it's going to go in there on the back. Just go ahead and line that up to where it used to be, which is, oops, other way around, like that. And you're going to cut off the top right corner. And the bottom corner here. Cool, so that will just set in there. Easy. This will just clip in. Make sure it's oriented right. Cool. And there you go. Next step after this would be just to glue on this facial plate. You could use any type of glue. You could use the glue that you used to bond the side mounting tabs. Just don't apply a lot. You don't need a lot to mount this on. You know, that will go there. So I'm going to go ahead and do all that, and I'll show you the final result. And before I show you the final result, I just want one thing to keep in mind. If you have any extra glue, like I do here, just left over, make sure you make enough clearance on this piece to account for the glue. And then it'll just all pop into play, of course. So yeah, let me all do that real quick. And yeah. Alright, so we put everything back together and we're done. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. It looks really, really good. And yeah, we're ready to plug it into our CRX now. So yeah, if you're wanting to look at the knob installation, stay tuned on this video. You know, last but not least, I want to show you the knob conversion cover. So you just kind of have to line these up with these two little notches there. You kind of just plop it in. Assuming you're going to want to use this. I'm not going to pop it in all the way because I'm going to ship this one out to a customer, but I'll kind of show you the idea on how it works. That'll pop in all the way. And then here's your OEM knob. That would just kind of slide in like that, and see it kind of covers it up. If you didn't have it, you can see how it's going to kind of leave a kind of ring around there. You see that? So that little cover kind of covers that up. So, oops, there we go, just like that. So I'm going to take that out though, because this will go to a customer. And let's show you how to modify these knobs here. So these knobs are from a 94 to I believe a 96 Accord, which is way more plentiful at your scrap yard and stuff like that. And these things are almost never damaged. You're going to find these way more often than you would for a 9093. And you can see the difference in construction there. And you can also see how it's a little bit higher up. You see that? But also one thing to notice is that the internals are a little bit different. Now, I don't think this will show up on camera, but if you look really closely, there's two little notches in there, kind of two opposing little block off little tabs. That's what kind of goes up against the end of the little pin there, or shaft. And that's what kind of determines its height. You're gonna have to remove that. It's not an easy task because you're gonna have to get in there, and I'm gonna use this tool here, and yeah, you just kind of have to just basically work it out. And so I'm gonna quickly pause the video, set up my tooling, and show you how that's done. Alrighty, so I made a little black dot on my little milling routing tool used for wood, and you can see it's about, I don't know, 2.5 centimeters or so down from the tip. That's because I don't want to go overshoot and kind of blast this tool through the top right here and ruin this thing. So you don't want to go too far. So that's a little guide, so you can see when it spins, it's a nice black line so that you kind of see it not go too far down. A little trick there. So basically the modifications required for this knob to make it fit nice and snug if you want to do it is you're basically going to have to cut this off, cut it off to the little metal tang that sits in here. And then you're going to basically want to get rid of the whole inside guts, essentially. So I'm going to kind of get rid of that real quick. And so you're going to want to kind of shove it in there and be very careful. And just, yeah, keep working that. You can see I kind of broke some off in there. I don't think you can see on camera, but yeah, and just kind of clear it all out in there. Get rid of those little stops. And I'm going to pause it real quick and just kind of show you the end result when this is all done, because this is a little noisy on camera. Alrighty, so I just got it modified here. You can see how it's all shaved down to the metal little clip in there, and then all the insides are all taken out, even though you can't see it on camera. So you see it's a lot shorter, and now when you put it up against the climate control unit, I line this up, you can see it's nice and flush now. There you go, so you're done. And that's how you modify your climate control unit using the EKP kit. Check out the other videos for how to install this in the car. It's really simple. It's really fast. Maybe it take you, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a lengthy one, but I covered everything I could possibly can in case you have any questions. If you have any more questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.